Chris, Lee and Blake Lovell of Southeastern 14 here talking about Duke and Arkansas. Unfortunately, the league's run in the NCAA Tournament ended against a Duke team that just frankly looked better than Arkansas. A lot had to go Arkansas's way, including some free throw shooting and things like that. Things we had talked about earlier. But in any case, the Must Bus has ended a great run, a great tournament, and Duke looked pretty good coming out of this one, Blake.
Yeah, just for we can laugh at ourselves. Just for full disclosure, we're on take 3 here. I feel like I said a lot of good things in take 2, but hopefully I remember them all.
I'm the dummy on this one. So.
No, it's we have fun with ourselves. Yeah, I mean, look, it's one of those things where a lot of the things we talked about going into this game, we said, hey, we think Arkansas's got a good chance to win this game just based off of the game plan and those kind of things we saw against Gonzaga. And yes, I know a lot of people pointed out there were obvious differences between Duke and Gonzaga, and we'll get to that in a second. But still, to me, the main theme was it has to be a game that's kind of a grind, and it has to be a game where every possession feels valued. And I think that there were times where that was not the case for Arkansas in this one, and I think that's where things sort of got away. The one turning point for me, and I said it on Twitter, was 2 minutes left in the first half. Don't remember the player. Had basically a 2-footer, had basically a layup that would have cut it to 2, I think, and missed that. You're like, oh my goodness, how does that not go in? Come down the other way, Duke gets a 3, and then from there, I think they go on whatever, a 7-0 run to end the half, and all of a sudden it goes from being a 2-point game to being a 12-point game at half, and I think that just completely erased any momentum Arkansas built up. Because I was sitting there thinking there's a couple points late in the first half. I'm thinking this is still only a 5-point game, and I don't feel like Arkansas's played great, and yet they're still right there hanging around. I'm sort of looking at it and saying, all right, we've seen this before. If they can just keep it right there going into halftime, they still got a shot at this thing. But I think just that being down 12 at half, I think mentally that is just something that you were right there with a chance to cut it to a one-possession game, and all of a sudden everything just kind of goes off the rails. I thought that was a huge swing in this game. Arkansas came out early in the second half. I thought had a couple of chances to make it more interesting, but after that, I just think it became all Duke. And again, there were clearly some things I think offensively for Arkansas, I think left a lot to be desired. I don't know that their offensive approach was the one that I expected, just because to me it seemed like there were too many times, and that's where, again, we talk about valuing the possessions. And I get sometimes you're pressing a little bit too, especially when you have kind of that run they had late. But I think we even saw this in the first half, and you just had some guys just make some tough shots. But I just feel like there were too many sort of isolation type situations where Arkansas is just trying to go one-on-one against, 3 NBA players on the other side. And I just feel like that's a tough task, especially in a tournament situation, to do that. And, yes, that you still had the back cuts and all those. I'm thinking of Jalen Williams's, pretty passes he made and those. But I think there was just a lot of offensive possessions that you would love to have back if you're Eric Musselman, just in this game. And I think that was probably a frustrating part for Arkansas is, you were going to have trouble scoring against Duke, but I think I don't know. I feel like they left a lot of possessions out there that just were not great possessions. Whereas I think against Gonzaga, you had some of those too, but the difference is if you're making shots, it can kind of overcome it. But yeah, I mean, there was a lot of things here. I mean, the free throws, like we said, I mean, goodness.
Yeah, Duke had shot more, or excuse me, Duke had made more coming into the game than opponents had attempted. That played out.
6 game in a row now that an opponent hasn't shot more than 12 against Duke. And I don't remember if I said this in this video or the previous one we did, but, you can like it or not, and I know everyone will have a different opinion on what it means for the Duke narrative and all this other stuff, but it is a stat, and it is what it is. I mean, it's, like I said, 5th or 6th game now that no opponent's taken more than 12 free throws against them, and that's not me knocking Duke. That's just it is what it is. I mean, it's hard to get to the free throw line against Duke. We said that in the preview, and I think Arkansas just needed a lot more of those opportunities because the threes weren't there. I think a lot of the shots just were not falling, and that's not to be that it's not that surprising against a team like this that's going to force you to take some tough shots with their length and athleticism. So, yeah, I mean, I think it's certainly disappointing. I think for Arkansas, knowing that you are one win away from the Final Four, but still, I mean, overall, my goodness, to go to the Elite Eight back-to-back years now, only team in
Pretty
the
good
SEC
run.
that can say that. So, yeah.
Well, with Duke, my concern, and you heard us outline this in the preview video, was that the computers didn't really like Duke a ton, didn't really like them on the defensive end, and based on that, Duke was not a legit title contender. But, as we pointed out, Duke has, 5 future first-rounders potentially in its lineup, that's the blueprint of a team that usually wins this kind of thing if the experience isn't a detriment, which is why we picked Arkansas. We thought Arkansas the more experienced team, but computer numbers take into account what you did all year and not the team that you were kind of becoming in March. And you see that happen with some teams sometimes. Maybe you can say that about St. Peter's as well. But point I'm making here is Duke was kind of becoming a different team. We knew the talent, huge upside for the Blue Devils, and the question was, did Arkansas have that kind of talent? The thought was probably not. I feel like that's the game, how this one played out. Whether that's fair or unfair, I don't know, but that was the fear that I had, and that's, as I watch it, that's kind of how it went.
I mean, look, Arkansas' strength has been its defense. I think we'd all agree with that.
Yeah.
But when you play a team like this that, in best case scenario, can be one of the best offensive teams in the country. We know that, and even with some of the issues they've had this year, we've known that all year. It's just a matter of, again, can you force your type of style onto that team? And I think Arkansas was able to do that against Gonzaga. We're not able to do that against Duke, and they were not able to force that type of defensive style that made for some of those bad shots. Never really got anyone in significant foul trouble. And that was the difference. Is that has been the strength of Arkansas, are those things, and you just they were not on display here. And again, I'm not blaming either side for that. It's just that's how the game played out. And when that happens, yeah, I think the team that has all the future NBA draft picks are going to be set up nicely. And let's give Duke credit too. I mean, it's like they had some tough shots. I mean, Banchero hit some tough shots. Williams looked like Stretch Armstrong there early in the first half. I mean, there was a couple of them where it's just that one he made where it looks like that guy's arm just extended about 14 feet and somehow got that tip in. These are good players. I mean, these are really, really good players. And I think that, that's why I looked at a team like Arkansas, quite frankly, and we said, I think one of the reasons I thought that it would really help Arkansas in this game is because there were differences in Gonzaga and Duke. And I know some people pointed that out, and I just mentioned, hey, listen, I'm not saying you can do the exact same thing, but I think there are a lot of similarities in terms of how you approach this. You have to play almost a flawless game here to win. And you almost have to, again, it goes back to those offensive possessions where, man, defense was tough in this game, but I still think if you just get 5 more good offensive possessions, how much different is this game? And I just think there were a lot of those that were not good offensive possessions for Arkansas. And so, yeah, I mean, it's things like that. And like we said, it was going to be tough no matter what. Just knowing how Duke has kind of, figured it out at the right time. And thinking that Arkansas had been really tested against teams like that, whether it's Kentucky, Auburn, Tennessee, up and down the line. They had played some teams that you could kind of see, the size, the offensive firepower, and yeah, it just didn't work out here. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, though, I mean, it's definitely frustrating, I think, because you look at kind of what this team has been able to accomplish. You look at all the seniors on this roster for Arkansas. Jalen Williams again, just what another
Great
tremendous game. It's just this guy, I can't say enough about him, and I know there's all sorts of slander about Jalen Williams on Twitter when it comes to taking charges and all that. I'm going back to our key phrase for the podcast: don't hate the player, hate the game. Yeah, and just I thought he was really good again, and had a tough matchup. Let's be honest. I mean, again, knowing what's in there with Williams and those guys, and yet I thought he still played pretty well. So I think for the most part, of course you're disappointed if you're Arkansas having a chance to go to the Final Four, be the team that ends Coach K's career. and certainly did not play your best in this game. But I don't think that we should just sit back and always. And I don't know that anybody's doing this because, quite frankly, I haven't really been on social media except for to chime in on the Will Smith and Chris Rock
Oh my
street fight
goodness.
at the Oscars. But I don't know who's commenting
You
about
chimed
what.
in on that?
Oh, I did, man. I did you not see? Let me pull up my tweet for you.
No, that's
You're gonna
not. I didn't think that was your style.
well, you're gonna have some fun with this one. The tweet I put out. Actually, I put out two here. So let's see. The first one was about 15 minutes after this happened, the incident. I said, SEC officials still at the monitor for the Will Smith and Chris Rock replay review.
I like
People
it.
had some fun with that. Only 15 minutes after. And then a little bit later, I worked on my routine and said the NCAA should get around to its ruling on Will Smith's punishment sometime in 2037. So there you go. Again, it was comedy night, Comedy Central on Twitter last night while all this is going on. But that's beside the point.
Well, I saw nothing of the Oscars, but that tweet I saw the Australian version. My ruling would be a technical foul on Chris Rock, a flagrant one on Will Smith, and then another technical afterwards for the language. But anyway, carry on.
Listen, all Chris Rock had to do was go down, and I think that's a charge. Jalen Williams could have taught him a couple things on that one.
Right.
He should have took the charge. Jalen Williams would have took the charge on live TV. So, yeah. But, I mean, I don't even know what I was saying. But it was, again, I think for Arkansas, give Duke credit here. I think Duke just played a great game, and I mean, I did see some of this. I was like, well, Arkansas is not getting any calls. I think to a certain extent, I get it, but I just think Duke was the better team in this game. That's what Eric Musselman said after the game. I'm not going to disagree with him on that. That they just played better, and sometimes that's what it comes down to. And that's kind of what happened here in this game.
Sad ending to the career of J.D. Notae. I think they said he ended with 1,999 points, which stinks. I would have loved to see him get one more. Boy, it's going to feel weird watching Arkansas without him on the floor. I just loved watching him play.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about a guy that just like the transformation of him, I think, is one. And I don't remember who said it. I want to say it was Ty Richardson. Ty and I, of course, good buddies and did the show here in Nashville several years ago. But I think he was the one, and if I'm not properly attributing that to him, then maybe it's someone else. But just in terms of like J.D. Notae as a passer and how, we always look at the points and those kind of things. But I think this year, he took some tough shots. I mean, I get it, but I think he saw the floor so much better and some of the passes he's able to make. And I mean, I know it's been talked about like on the commentary and stuff, but there are not many people. I honestly, like, I could go way, way back. Not many people I've seen use their body better than J.D. Notae in terms of how he navigates.
For sure.
Yeah, and again, some people say, oh, he's trying to get the cheap foul and those kind of things. I would too. That's how I would play. I'd try to take advantage of everything I could. And I think just the way he's able to maneuver his body, that to me has been one of the most like, it's unlike anyone I've ever seen do it. And
Scottie Pippen Jr. says hello.
Well, yeah, but
he does it too in a different way.
I think those are that's a good point.
He was the other one on the other end of a lot of Twitter ire in the league this year. But it's like he plays by the rules. And I think it got ridiculous the way that he tries to draw contact at times. But if it's called, what are you going to do? But anyway, excuse the sidebar there. I will say this about Notae. Man, it's hard not to root for that kid. We try to stay pretty neutral here, but the story they didn't have. Well, yeah, exactly. He did not have much to grow up with. He played He played outdoor ball because it was a couple bucks to go play indoors, and he just didn't have it. I mean, he just seemed unselfish, no ego, played hard. You don't know what a kid's like off the floor, but just from watching him and hearing his story. Hard not to want J.D. Notae on your team and hard not to root for him.
Yeah, we try to stay neutral on teams, but I am not against going all in on a player and a kid. So, we will absolutely root for kids. That's for sure. It's just, I mean, look, let's think about the success. We just said it, back-to-back Elite Eights, and the way he played. He didn't have a great stretch towards the end of the year last year, and I think that was one where it was kind of up and down, and I think they were just wondering how does he kind of come back this year and be the player they need him to be. Well, I think this is right, except for that game against A&M in the SEC tournament. As we said, he hit double figures in every single game, and yeah, just really became just a really good player. I mean, we talk about the steals, those kind of things. Like, just think about what he added on the defensive side. So, yeah, a remarkable career, and I think you look at it, and I mean, even guys like Davis and Notae and Tony and like all these guys, Trey Wade. I mean, it's just think about what they did as sort of a group of 6, and that's not to leave out Chris Likes or Kamani Johnson or those kind of guys, but
Likes was only there 1 year, and I think Johnson was 2, right?
Yeah, and I mean just in terms of this team this year,
Gotcha.
in terms of just it was a 6-man group basically.
Well, saying Tony and Notae too, for that matter, if we're keeping.
Yeah,
score.
I said them. Yeah.
Okay, sorry. Well, I mean, in terms of these were first year guys.
Right. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like somehow they went from being a team that did not have that chemistry early, as we talked about, clearly was not there, especially on the defensive side. But they're able to turn that around and basically be a 6-man group here going down the stretch and winning all these games. So. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's disappointing in the moment, and I'm sure, 48 hours after the fact, Arkansas fans, are certainly probably looking back on the positives here and realizing that, hey, they are in a very unique spot because they are the only team in the SEC that's now gone the Elite Eight back-to-back years. And, you look at all the players they're going to be bringing in next season. We already know how this works. Muss is going to get a couple big-time transfers. He always does. And he's going to get some freshmen, and it's going to be like clockwork. And really, look, I mean, we're going to do a video, I think, sometime this week. I'd like to do one on just kind of looking ahead, an early look ahead to next season. Obviously, we don't know the rosters or anything, but I think SEC landscape is going to look a lot different next year.
It's got
got so many different new coaches.
You have LSU.
I don't want to get into it now, but my guy Dennis Gates does not even have a staff yet, and he's already landed 2 players.
Here we go.
I don't want to say anything, but he's landed 2 players without a staff. Landed the number 1 JUCO player in the country without a staff. So
you're trying to get him a raise before he's coached a game.
I'm going to point that out. It's part of my job description. So
it is.
But
and a couple of really good players at that.
Yeah, no, he's not just gotten players. He's gotten good players.
Number 1 JUCO kid in the country.
Yeah, and may get the number 2 one today or tomorrow. So yeah. So but that's what we mean. Like the landscape is going to look so much different, but. Now it's where if you're Eric Musselman and you're Arkansas, people are chasing you now every year because you're now one of the elder statesmen in the league, right? Like it's Cal at the top, and then it's I think it's Bruce Pearl, and then it's Rick Barnes, and then it's it's Muss and Kermit Davis. And
these guys haven't been here a long time. It's not like when we grew up and coaches would be there 10 or 15 years.
But like that's where this new group, like all of a sudden they're chasing the group elsewhere. So. It's going to be fun. I think, we'll get into that in another video. But, I think it's going to be kind of fun to look ahead because there's going to be a lot of new styles, I think. Todd Golden just got a huge boost this morning as we're recording. Tyree Appleby announced he's coming back.
Ooh.
So that's big for Florida. But, yeah, it's going to be fascinating, I think, to look ahead next year. And that's like we said, if you're Arkansas, you're the last team left standing for the 2nd straight year. You got to feel like you're in a really good spot, even though the roster is going to turn over a little bit. But again, for a Muss team, it's not that unusual. So,
well, okay. Word from a sponsor quickly. Wager on sports, win FTs without risking any money. Sounds too good to be true, right? Well, Stakes is the wagering app that's casual, social, made for all sports fans, whether it is by yourself or with friends. Experience the thrill of sports betting without needing to worry about losing any hard-earned money. Sign up today. Use our code Southeastern14. Join the thousands of sports fans playing with Stakes. Okay, parting thoughts. We got baseball stuff. We may try to do a video today depending on your schedule, or maybe that'll be coming later, but we are starting to go full bore into that now. I spent a lot of time looking at baseball stuff, crunching numbers. That's getting into full swing. Any parting thoughts, though, on hoops, Blake?
Yeah, I mean, like we said, we'll certainly have some more of these basketball centric videos coming through. I don't want you guys to just
Yeah,
run away.
basketball coverage is not going away in the off season, and not by
Yeah,
a long shot.
but I do want to thank everyone because this is kind of the season wrap up, if you will, based on now. By the way, Texas A&M still playing, and I think we're going to do
Oh
something on
yeah.
that. If they were to make, I mean, they're in the Final Four, right? So
Hmm.
we probably will do something on that this week. So Texas A&M fans, don't worry, they are still playing, and we'll probably do something on that. But just as we kind of know that for most fans, if you're not a Texas A&M fan, you're probably not watching the NIT as much, and you kind of see this as the end of basketball season for the SEC. Although, as again, there is still one team playing. But yeah, we just want to thank everyone. I mean, it's think about where we were when this season started, and where things are now.
We were what at?
And
We weren't even 300
Chris, we had like
subscribers on YouTube.
250 subscribers when the
Yeah.
season started, like if that, and we're at like 1,500 now. So it's pretty remarkable what you guys have done for us, and yeah, like it's just I don't even know how to say it, but
Well,
yeah,
let me say, when people have asked us a lot about different things, this is the I want to say the slow down and breathe segment, but that's relatively speaking, right? Because we're about to go full war into baseball. You got stuff happening in football when I can follow it, which is I've had no time to do that lately. But point being, yeah, there's a lot coming up, a lot we want to do. Right now, we're kind of for the most part, a 2-man show, which is a challenge when you're trying to cover everything at once. But we do have plans, and in the coming weeks with basketball, well, slowly calming down. Now the portal is hitting, and the coaching carousel is mostly stopped. But I'm sure there's more movement on that. But that does give us time that we didn't have a little bit to step aside and think of some other stuff. So
yeah, and that's again, we have plenty more stuff. So don't be running to hit the unsubscribe button. I mean, you're going to get the same amount of stuff pretty much, and it's just going to be, a little different because if you like baseball, obviously there'll be plenty for you. Football stuff will come, eventually. And yeah, it's just going to be a lot more to come. But I did want to thank everyone for that because, we always have a good laugh just about like how did we get here? Like we're not saying that in a mean way. It's just like my goodness, you guys have come in and supported
yeah,
everything we've done this season, and
gosh,
um,
the nice words, the comments, those have all mean. We've got a really, one thing I like, we've got an audience of a lot of good and decent people, and that can't always be said of online communities. Do you get the occasional jerk, of course, but it's been cool to kind of get to know people a little bit, as much as you can through that. And one of these days, and hopefully by that maybe next year, or heck, maybe at the baseball tournament in Hoover, we'll do something in person and get to meet a lot of the really cool folks who have followed us and said the nice things and everything, because that's what makes it go round as the community.
yep, no, we do. We appreciate everyone, and yeah, be sure again to hit that subscribe button, and just a lot more to come, and we'll keep it rolling right along here on the 14, and with a lot more people on board than we had when this basketball season first started. So, yeah, pretty incredible. So,
Hey, we have neglected to give a shout out to our buddy Flying Blind. You sent me that video on Twitter of him at the Gonzaga game. I texted you back, said that almost gave me chills. That was genuine. I'm getting them now as I'm thinking about that.
our guy,
What a cool experience. Sporting events like that are things you never forget. When you get to spend them with your dad, speaking from experience, my dad, when I was little, would take me to minor league baseball games. We went to college games at Vandy because we grew up in Nashville. I mean, we'd take road trips to see the Braves and stuff like that. And those are just unforgettable experiences. And I'm just really happy for he and his father that they could go and spend that time together. And man, it was so good to see that video and just the joy that he had when they won that game. I think that's what makes it all worth it.
We tried, Flying Blind. We tried to get one more for you to get you to New Orleans. We tried, but no, that was any way you slice it, no doubt.
That was the coolest thing I've seen all basketball season on the internet.
Well, if you haven't seen it, I went in and put it in our comments. I pinned it at the top of our I think it was our preview video, maybe, or maybe it was another one. I don't remember, but yeah. So if you haven't seen that, I put the tweet. I pinned it in there on one of them. It was either the preview or the reaction video we did before. So yeah. So be sure to check that out. But yeah. So we appreciate Flying Blind. We appreciate everyone out there, and yeah, just has made for a really fun and engaging season, and we could have never expected that when things tipped off in November, because we had about 200 of you in here, and now we've got about 1,500 of you. So, yeah. Well,
thank you for watching, and again, we'll be back. I don't know if we'll do a baseball video today or tomorrow. That's going to depend on schedules. We're both really busy, but in any case, it is coming. More basketball talk is coming as kids are hitting the portal, maybe finding destinations. And just with NCAA basketball these days, you just never know what's next. So when it happens, we'll have you covered. Keep watching. Hit that subscribe button if you have not, and we will see you soon.